The city shall be under the ban. Only Rahab the harlot, and all who are with her in the house shall live. Joshua 6:17. The whole world was collapsing around her, screaming, dust, fire. But inside her room, there was only a quiet, terrifying trust. You are carrying a label today, aren't you? Maybe it's a mistake from 10 years ago, or a failure from yesterday morning. You feel like that one thing defines your whole future. You feel disqualified. But grace doesn't look at your resume. It looks at the window where you're waiting. Take a deep breath. This is your moment in the garden. God is here, walking with you. I want you to walk with me today toward the back of the garden. Past the flower beds, past the open grass. There is an old stone wall here. It's covered in ivy-thick green vines that have been growing for years. Reach out and touch the stone. It feels cold under your fingertips. Rough, solid. It feels like protection. We spend so much of our lives trying to build walls like this. We build them out of silence. We build them out of perfect smiles, when we are actually falling apart inside. We build them out of accomplishments, hoping that if we do enough, or earn enough, or help enough people, we will finally be safe. We think the wall keeps the pain out, but usually, the wall just keeps the shame in. Today, I want to sit with you in the shadow of a different kind of wall. I want to take you to a city that was about to be destroyed, to a room that shouldn't have been safe, but was the only safe place left on that city. We are going to sit with a woman named Rahab, and I know what you might be thinking. She is a hero of the faith. She is in the lineage of Jesus. We say these things now. We see the end of the story. It's clean. It's tidy. It fits in a Sunday school lesson, but I want you to close your eyes and go back to the moment before the miracle, because faith doesn't happen in the victory. Faith happens in the dirt. Faith happens when your hands are shaking and you don't know if the roof is going to hold. Imagine the air is thick with dust. Jericho is a fortress. It is a city of rumors and fear. Everyone is talking about this God, the God of Israel, the God who split the Red Sea, the God who brings empires down to their knees. And then there is Rahab. The Bible calls her Rahab the harlot. That wasn't just a description. That was her name. That was how the neighbors looked at her when she walked to the market. That was the whisper behind her back. There she goes. We know what she does. We know who she is. Have you ever felt the weight of a name like that? Maybe nobody says it out loud to you, but you say it to yourself. You look in the mirror at 2 a.m. when the house is quiet and you can't sleep, and you give yourself a name. Failure, fraud, damaged, too sensitive, not enough. It sticks to you like wet clay. It dries and hardens, and after a while, you stop trying to wash it off. You just accept it. You think, this is who I am. This is all I will ever be. God can't use a house like mine. It's too messy. It's too broken. But here is the mystery of the garden. Here is the strange, beautiful logic of God. When the spies, the messengers of God, came into the city, where did they go? They didn't go to the palace, or to the temple of the local gods, or maybe to the house of the mayor, or the richest merchant. They went to Rahab's house. They went to the house on the wall. The house of the woman with the label. And I wonder if Rahab was surprised. I wonder if she stood at her door, heart pounding in her throat, thinking, why me? Don't you know who I am? Don't you know what happens in this house? But she let them in. And in that moment, she made a choice that changed history. She didn't choose her people. She didn't choose her culture. She didn't choose the safety of fitting in. She chose the God she had only heard rumors about. She said, "I know that the Lord has given you the land." Listen to that. I know. She didn't have a Bible. She didn't have a pastor. She didn't have a worship playlist. She had a rumor. She had a report of what God had done in Egypt. And that was enough. Sometimes we think we need to have perfectly systematic theology to be close to God. We think we need to understand everything, but Rahab didn't understand. She just recognized. She recognized power. She recognized truth. And she realized that the walls of Jericho, as high and thick as they were nothing compared to the God of Israel. So she made a deal. She asked for kindness. "Deal kindly with my father's house," she said. "Save alive my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them." This is where the story gets heavy for me, because she wasn't just asking for herself. She was the black sheep of the family, the outcast, the one who brought shame. And yet, she became the savior of her entire household. Maybe you are the only one in your family praying right now. Maybe you look at your husband, or your children, or your parents, and you see them walking so far away from peace. You see them building their own walls of pride or anger. And you feel small. You feel like your prayers are hitting the ceiling. But look at Rahab. One woman. One sinner. One act of faith. And it covered everyone. Your faith is stronger than you think. Your prayers are covering more ground than you can see. You are the roof over your family's head, even if they don't realize it is raining. The spies gave her a sign. A scarlet cord. A red rope. "Tie this line in the window," they said. Imagine her hands tying that knot. The rope is rough. It's dyed deep red. It looks like a stain against the stone window. It's so simple. It's almost ridiculous, isn't it? An entire army is coming. Men with swords, trumpets, the ground is going to shake. The walls are going to crumble. And your protection is a piece of string. How often does God ask us to trust something that looks foolish to the world? Just pray, he says. And we say, "But God, I need money. I need a job. I need the medical report to change. I can't just pray." "Just trust," he says. And we say, "But God, the walls are shaking. I can hear the enemy marching." Rahab tied the cord. And then she waited. The Bible tells us the army marched around the city for 7 days. 7 days. Can you imagine the inside of that house? Day 1. You hear the marching. Thousands of feet. You run to the window. You check the red cord. Is it still there? Is the knot tight enough? Day 2. The marching again. The dust rising in the air, blocking out the sun. Day 3. The silence of the soldiers. They don't shout. They just walk. That is almost worse, isn't it? The silence before the crash. I wonder if her family got scared. "Rahab, are you sure?" "Rahab, this is crazy. We should run." "Rahab, who are these men you trusted?" I wonder if she got scared. I wonder if she sat on the floor, knees pulled up to her chest, watching that red cord sway in the wind. It was the only thing separating her from death. A thin red line. There are seasons in our lives that feel like that week in Jericho. The waiting room seasons. You have done the prayer. You have tied the cord. You have made the decision to trust God. But the walls haven't fallen yet, and the rescue hasn't come yet. There is just noise and pressure and the feeling that everything is about to break. Maybe you are there right now. You are in the middle of the 7 days. You are looking at your life and saying, God, I trusted you. Why is the enemy still marching? Why is the anxiety still screaming? Why is the bank account still empty? It is hard to breathe in that space. The air feels heavy. You start to doubt the promise. You start to look at the red cord and think, it's not enough. It's too small. I need to do something. I need to fix this myself. But Rahab stayed in the house. She didn't run out to fight. She didn't try to shore up the walls with timber and stone. She stayed behind the Scarlet Cord. And this is the hardest thing we ever do as believers. We stand still. We let the promise be enough. When the seventh day came, the shouting started. The trumpets blew, a sound so loud it vibrated in her teeth. And then the impossible happened. The stone began to crack. The massive walls of Jericho, the walls that were supposed to be invincible, didn't just break. They fell flat. Imagine the chaos. Dust choking the air. Stones the size of chariots crashing down. People screaming. The world was ending. But look closely at the scene. The text says, her house was on the city wall. Logically, if the wall falls, her house falls. Logically, she should be the first to die. But when the dust cleared, one section of the wall was still standing. One house was still vertical in a sea of rubble. One window still had a red cord blowing in the wind. God didn't stop the battle. He didn't stop the judgment on the city. But he created a sanctuary in the center of the destruction. He didn't take her out of the world. He kept her safe through it. The dust began to settle. The shouting stopped. And there was a strange, heavy silence over the ruins of Jericho. Imagine Rahab opening her door. The air is gray with powdered stone. The sun is trying to break through the haze. And there, climbing over the piles of broken rock, are the two spies. The men she saved. They are coming back for her. They didn't forget. They didn't say, well, she did her part, now we can move on. They came back to pull her out of the wreckage. I want you to see this moment. Rahab stepping out of her house. Her mother, her father, her brothers, her sisters. They are coughing in the dust, blinking in the sunlight. They are alive. They are the only ones. And as they walk out of the city, they are walking away from everything they knew. They are walking away from their culture, away from their past, away from the labels. And they are walking toward the camp of Israel. Can you feel the fear in that walk? She is a foreigner. She is a woman with a history. She is walking into a camp of people who are supposed to be holy. Will they accept me? Will they look at me and see the harlot? Will they let me sit by their fires? But God didn't just save Rahab to let her survive as a refugee. He didn't save her to let her live on the edge of the camp, begging for scraps, always reminded of who she used to be. He brought her in. He brought her home. And this is where the story becomes personal for you and me. Because if you look later in the Bible, if you turn the pages to the very first chapter of the New Testament, you find a list of names, the genealogy of Jesus, the King of Kings. It is a list of patriarchs, men of honor. But right there, in verse 5, is a name that shouldn't be there. Salmon, the father of Boaz by Rahab. Rahab, the woman from the wall, the woman with the red cord. She didn't just survive. She married a prince of Judah. She became a mother in Israel. She became the great-great-grandmother of King David. And through her line, through her blood, came Jesus. Do you understand what this means? God didn't just forgive her past. He used her past to build his future. He took the woman who was rejected by her own city and made her the mother of his son's lineage. Maybe you feel like you have ruined God's plan for your life. Maybe you think, I have messed up too much. I have gone too far. God can save me, sure. But He can't use me. I'll just sit in the back row and be quiet. I am damaged goods. Rahab shouts to us from history. No, God does not make damaged goods. He makes new creations. The scarlet cord in her window became the scarlet thread of redemption woven through history. Your brokenness is not a barrier to God. It is the very place where His grace shines the brightest. He is not ashamed to be called your God. He is not ashamed to have your name written in His book. He is not looking at the harlot in the window. He is looking at the daughter in the line of kings. So, what do we do with this? How do we move from the waiting room of Jericho to the freedom of the camp? We do it by letting go of the wall. We stop trying to hold up our own reputation. We stop trying to fix our own past. We tie the red cord, and we trust. I want to invite you now into a time of prayer, a time to let the walls fall down. Not the walls of protection, but the walls of pride. The walls of shame. Let's sit here, in the safety of this garden, and talk to the God who rewrites history. Father, we come to you today feeling a little bit like we are standing in the rubble. There is so much noise around us, so much pressure to be perfect, so much fear that if people really knew us, if they really saw the inside of our house, they wouldn't love us. But you see us. You see the red cord in the window. You see the faith that is holding on by a thread. God, I pray right now for the one listening who feels disqualified, for the one who feels like their past is a heavy chain they have to drag around every single day. Lord, cut the chain. Remind them that when the walls fell, you kept them standing. Remind them that you don't just tolerate them, you cherish them. We surrender the labels today. We take off the name failure. We take off the name anxious. We take off the name rejected. And we put on the name child of God. We put on the name heir. Lord, for the families represented here, for the mothers praying for children who are far away, for the husbands praying for marriages that feel like they are crumbling, give them the faith of Rahab. Give them the courage to say, I will trust you for my whole house. I will believe that you are good enough and big enough to save everyone under my roof. It is so hard to trust when we can't see the rescue, God. It is so hard to wait for the seventh day. So we ask for patience. We ask for the peace that passes understanding. The peace that sits in the window and watches the army march and says, my God is bigger than this. Wash us clean, Father. Take the dust of Jericho off our clothes. Bring us into the camp. Bring us into the family. Let us feel the warmth of your fire. Let us know that we belong. We aren't asking because we are good. We aren't asking because we deserve it. We are asking because of the Scarlet Cord. We are asking because of Jesus. Because of His blood, we are safe. Because of His love, we are home. Quiet our hearts now. Let the silence of this garden fill the empty spaces in our souls. You are here, and because you are here, we are safe. Amen. Before you go, I know that some of you are carrying a burden that feels too heavy to lift alone. You are waiting for your own walls to fall, and sometimes the waiting is the hardest part. You don't have to carry it by yourself. We are walking this path together. We are a family here. If you have a prayer request today, or if you just need someone to stand with you in faith, I want you to leave it below. You don't have to write the whole story if you don't want to. Just put your first name, or just write the word, pray. I will see it. And I will pray for you by name. Let this be a space where we carry each other's burdens. Carry this peace with you today. Just as in the garden, God walks beside you.